everyone. In this module, we're going to use Central Europe as a compact, high-contrast classroom for temperate dendrology. We'll focus on three countries, Czechia, Slovakia, and Hungary, and the big idea is simple. Within a relatively small region, forests change quickly with elevation, bedrock, and soil chemistry, river dynamics, and centuries of human use. That's why Central Europe is such a strong place to practice using trees to read the landscape. And here's the learning strategy I want you to use. Genus anchors. As you meet Central European trees, keep asking, do I know a tree from this genus in North Carolina? If yes, you're not starting from scratch. You're building on a familiar family resemblance. We'll use that approach throughout, especially with maples, beeches, oaks, birches, poplars, and pines. By the end, I want you to have two things. First, a mental map of 4 major forest settings, and second, a set of specific field marks for the most characteristic trees in each setting. Here's why Central Europe works so well for dendrology. The region is a meeting point between the Bohemian Massif, the Carpathians, and the Pannonian Basin. That intersection creates a striking juxtaposition of habitats: acidic uplands, calcareous slopes, alluvial floodplains, and dry lowland forests. So instead of learning trees as isolated facts, you can learn trees as outcomes of place. And there's a useful comparison point. In broad ecological terms, Central Europe can feel comparable to parts of Eastern North America, especially where mountains, lowlands, and river forests integrate over short distances. But Central Europe also has its own signature: steppe influence, calcareous floras, and its own deep history of sociocultural forest use. To keep this module coherent and to make it usable in the field, we're going to organize everything into 4 ecosystems. 1, montane and upland forests in the Sudetties, Bohemian Massif Highlands, and Western Carpathians. 2, lowland and foothill temperate broadleaf forests on fertile soils. 3, riparian and floodplain forests along the Danube, Morava, and Tisa river systems. And 4, dry, nutrient-poor sites, especially in the Pannonian Plain and other dry or disturbed places across all 3 countries. As you listen, try to think in shifting scales. We'll keep moving from region to ecosystems to individual trees and back again. So let's start with the montane and upland forests. These are the humid, shaded, mossy forests you can find in 2 main settings. First, the Czech uplands along the backbone of the Bohemian Massif. This region is underlain by Variscan age, so that's like 380 to 280 million years old, igneous and metamorphic rocks, granite, gneiss, and schist that weather into acidic soils. Second, the Western Carpathians of Slovakia, which are a mosaic of metamorphic and sedimentary rock. That mosaic matters because it can generate nutrient-poor acidic soils and richer, more basic soils, all in close proximity. The Sudetties, the highest part of the Bohemian Massif, provide a vivid example of how elevation and disturbance structure vegetation. Note that elevational zones and intensive logging and planting have led to monocultures of Norway spruce in some areas. And in the Western Carpathians, there is a clear elevational pattern: foothills with broadleaf deciduous trees like oaks, hornbeam, and linden, lower mountains with beech, upper mountains dominated by Norway spruce, and then dwarf pine and meadowlands defining the alpine zone above the tree line. So one last idea I want you to remember in this system is that deadwood matters and acts as a major engine of diversity, supporting saprophytic fungi and insects. So mountain forests aren't just about the living canopy, they're also about the architecture of decay. Now we're going to anchor that montane system with 5 key trees. Think of these as 5 species that help you quickly name the forests in Central European mountains. Got sycamore maple, European beech, silver fir, Norway spruce, and European larch. As you listen, don't try to memorize every detail. Instead, listen for one signature field mark per species, one key trait. First, sycamore maple, Acer pseudoplatanus. The name is a clue. Pseudoplatanus means false plane tree, and the leaves resemble plane trees in being broad and 5-lobed. The underside is often pale, and the petiole exudes milky sap. The bark starts pinkish and smooth, then becomes flaky and scaly in older trees with a patchwork look. The seeds are paired samaras, so your familiar maple helicopters. A key identifying feature is that the buds are green. Now here's an Eastern North American connection. You already know maples in our course, especially red maple, Acer rubrum. So don't memorize Acer pseudoplatanus as a totally new thing. Instead, treat it as maple logic in a different landscape. Cut the opposite branching, paired samaras, and then we have the species level cues like green buds and that distinctive bark patchwork that help you land on the pseudoplatanus. Now European beech, Fagus sylvatica. Beeches have smooth silvery gray bark that can develop shallow fissures with age. Leaves are glossy and oval elliptic with a wavy margin. On young trees in winter, you may see marcescent coppery leaves. The twigs are famous for long, slender, pointed cigar buds. The fruits are triangular nuts housed in spiny cupules. And again, here's an Eastern North American connection. American beech, Fagus grandifolia, which you've already learned on our field trips. The key transfer is that beech has a recognizable beechness, smooth gray bark, beech nuts, and a canopy that can make the world seem very quiet. So when you encounter European beech, you can treat it as beech logic, and then use the local context, Central European forests or elevation bands, to confirm. Remember, ecologically, beech is a shade-tolerant tree and can create atmospheric dark forests with sparse ground vegetation. And beech mass matters. Those nuts are a critical food source in Central European forests. Now let's do 3 conifers that are often confused until people learn the right traits. First, silver fir, Abies alba. The needles are flat, soft, and arranged in 2 ranks. You can often see 2 pale bands of stomata on the underside. The big unforgettable trait is the cones. Fir cones sit upright on branches and, for this one, disintegrate on a tree, so you usually don't find intact fir cones on the ground beneath. Second, Norway spruce, Picea abies. Spruce needles are sharp and 4-angled, and they sit on a peg-like base. That means even if the needles fall off, the twig feels rough, like a tiny file. Spruce's cones hang down, they're pendant, and they fall intact. Third, European larch, Larix decidua. Larch is the only native deciduous conifer in Central Europe. The needles occur in bundles on short shoots, and unlike evergreen conifers, larch sheds its needles in autumn. The small egg-shaped cones can remain on the tree for several years. Now here's your Eastern North American connection. In our North Carolina modules, we already teach Pinnaceae logic, how to read needles per fascicle, cone posture, and twig texture. So when you're deciding between fir and spruce in Europe, you're using the exact same toolkit you use here. Fir has flat needles and upright cones. Spruce has sharp needles and rough twigs with hanging cones. So here's the quick mnemonic. Fir cones stand up and fall apart. Spruce twigs feel rough and cones hang down. And larch is the conifer that turns gold and drops its needles. Next, we move downslope into lowland and foothill temperate broadleaf forests, the day-to-day forest matrix of rolling hills, parklands, and semi-natural forests interspersed with towns and agriculture. Substrate matters here, especially in Hungary, where much of the region is underlain by glacial lusts, and where forests can grade into oak woods on lime-rich soils, rocky slope forests, and forest steppe woods. These quintessential temperate broadleaf forests tend to be dominated by oaks, hornbeams, lindens, also called limes, and maples. Oaks often dominate the canopy on drier sites. Hornbeam often serves as a codominant, and lindens and maples are more prevalent on mesic sites. So our key lowland trees are pedunculate oak, sessile oak, European hornbeam, and the little leaf linden. Let's go species by species with an emphasis on those fast, confidence-building differences. Pedunculate oak, Quercus robur, has lobe leaves with auriculate ear-like lobes near the base and a short petiole. Buds cluster near the twig tips. The easiest cue is in the name. Pedunculate means the acorns are held on long stalks, peduncles. Sessile oak, Quercus petrea, is your contrast. Its leaves are lobed but lack the auriculate base, and they extend from a longer petiole. The acorns are on very short stalks and often cluster. They can sometimes germinate on the tree itself. Now, your Eastern North American connection. You already know what it feels like to sort oaks by small structural differences, and you've practiced oak ecology in the Piedmont. The specific species are different, but the genus level oak logic is the same. Pay attention to leaf shape, buds, and especially acorn structure. For this European pair, the best cue is simply acorns on long stalks versus acorns that are nearly stalkless. European hornbeam, Carpinus speculus, has pleated leaves, ovate, ribbed with parallel veins, and double serrate. The bark is smooth gray and distinctly cross-fluted and mussel-like. One of the best bark cues you can learn. The fruits are small nutlets with papery three-lobed bracts. Now here's another Eastern North American connection. In our course, we train your eye to take bark seriously, and you've done bark-based observation exercises. Hornbeam is a perfect bark-first tree because the trunk looks muscular, as if tendons run down it. That's a cross-continental skill, so you can use bark as a reliable winter trait. All right, and little leaf linden, Tilia cordata, has a heart-shaped leaf with an asymmetrical base and small tufts of rust-colored hairs in the vein axils on the underside. Its flowers are fragrant. It's an important bee tree, and its nutlets are clustered on strap-like bracts that act like parachutes. So if you need to create a memory shortcut, think about long stalk acorns versus stalkless acorns, muscle-barked hornbeam, and heartleaf linden with tiny hair tufts. Our third ecosystem is riparian and floodplain forests along the Danube, Morava, and Tisa rivers and their tributaries. These systems are dynamic. Banks shift, reed beds form and recede, microtopography shifts as well. The soils are young and layered, gravel, sand, silt, and clay, deposited by floods. Ecologically, disturbance isn't an exception here. It's part of the system. Floods deliver nutrient pulses through new sediments, and these forests are often considered major restoration biodiversity hotspots, particularly along the Danube. To keep this focus, we're going to anchor with two trees, black alder and black poplar. Black alder, Alnus glutinosa, is a classic wet soil specialist. The leaf is glossy, thick, rounded, and has a notched tip. Buds can feel sticky, and they sit on a lenticelled twig. One of the best winter traits is the fruit, persistent woody cones, which are the female catkin structures that hang on through the winter. Now the Eastern North American connection. Think about how we treat floodplains and stream banks in our North Carolina modules. Those are systems where water shapes everything and where a tree's job is often to tolerate disturbance and hold soil. So even if the alder species is different here than what you might see locally, the riparian logic transfers. Look for trees that stabilize banks and thrive in wet soils, and then confirm with fruits and buds. Black poplar, Populus nigra, is described as a fast-growing pioneer of young alluvium. The leaves are variable, triangular to rhomboid. The key cue is the long petiole that makes the leaf flutter in the wind. The bark becomes dark and fissured with age, and older trunks can look rough and black. Note that this species is threatened by hybridization with cultivated poplars, including American poplars. So here's our North American connection. You've already learned populus through our eastern cottonwood, Populus deltoides. So when you hear black poplar, don't just memorize a new species, think cottonwood logic, a fast pioneer, fluttering leaves, and wind-dispersed seeds. And then you can use the European story to refine, thinking about different leaf shapes, different conservation pressures, but the same genus level strategy. For a simpler ecological metaphor, think of alder as a riverbank builder stabilizing and enriching, while poplar is the riverbank sprinter, fast and first in line after disturbance. Our fourth ecosystem is dry nutrient-poor sites, especially on the Pannonian Plain in Hungary and other dry or disturbed sites across Slovakia and Czechia. This includes dry river terraces and early successional habitats disturbed by fire, wind throws, or land clearing, often underlain by glacial loess or alluvial sand that forms fast-draining soils. These dry habitats aren't only sandy pine birch systems. In Czechia, rocky steppe and calcareous slope mosaics can support open, species-rich vegetation, and some of these sites require grazing or shrub cutting to prevent overgrowth. In these dry systems, we'll use Scots pine and silver birch as our two anchor trees. Scots pine, Pinus sylvestris, is one of the most recognizable pines in Europe once you learn its signature. It has 2 needles per fascicle, often slightly twisted, and with a blue-green tone. And the bark is the big visual cue, orange-red plates on the upper trunk and darker gray-brown lower bark. Cones are small and egg-shaped, and they ripen every 2 to 3 years. The North American connection is that we already know how to separate pines by needles per bundle, also using habitat and cone traits, especially with the loblolly pine, Pinus taeda. That's our kind of major reference point. Loblolly is a 3-needled pine. Scots pine is a 2-needled pine. So different continents, same identification pathway. Start with the fascicle count, then confirm with bark and sites. Silver birch, Betula pendula, has a small triangular to diamond-shaped leaf with a pointed tip and serrated edges. The bark is white and peels in papery layers, while older bases become darker and rougher. Twigs can be slender and drooping, and sometimes have resinous warts, hence the warty birch, common name in Hungarian. Ecologically, birch is often a fast colonizer of disturbed areas, acidic, sandy, burn sites, so it's a great disturbance indicator tree. And the Eastern North American connection, you already know river birch, Betula nigra. River birch is a floodplain and stream bank specialist with peeling bark that's more coppery and scaly, and it plays a bank stabilizing role in bottomland systems. So think same genus, different habitat. In Europe, silver birch often translates to disturbance and dry site colonizing. In our region, river birch translates to a water and banks tree. So here's a method I want you to use across Central Europe. Start with place. Ask, am I in a mountain, a lowland broadleaf forest, a floodplain, or a dry steppe edge mosaic? Then look at structure. Spruce fir, beech uplands, oak, hornbeam, riparian pioneers. Then confirm with 1 or 2 decisive traits. Cone posture for fir versus spruce. Needle bundle counts for Scots pine. Cigar buds for beech. Acorn stalks for oaks. Woody cones for alder. And white papery bark for birch. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a quick recap of Eastern North American parallels, because this is one of the fastest ways to get good at dendrology in a new region. The strategy is congeners as anchors. So if you know the genus at home, you can travel with a ready-made mental model. So maples. Sycamore maple, Acer pseudoplatanus, pairs nicely with red maple, Acer rubrum. Same maple logic, opposite branching and paired samaras. Then you refine with the local field marks like bud color and bark patterns. Beeches. European beech, Fagus sylvatica, is the close conceptual cousin of American beech, Fagus grandifolia. The same smooth gray bark feel, the same beech nuts, and similar forest presence, even if the communities kind of differ. Oaks. Central Europe gives us pedunculate oak and sessile oak, and the exact species are different from North Carolina, but kind of the oak just starts the same. Leaves, buds, especially acorn structure. Poplars. Black poplar, Populus nigra, connects to our eastern cottonwood, Populus deltoides. Pioneer trees with fluttering leaves and wind-dispersed seeds, thriving where disturbance makes a lot of space available. Birches. Silver birch, Betula pendula, connects to our river birch, Betula nigra. Same genus signature of peeling bark, different habitat emphasis. And pines. We've got Scots pine, Pine sylvestre, a two-needle pine, pairing nicely with loblolly pine, Pinus sida, a three-needle pine. So fascicle counts travel well. Then you can do more with bark and site.